Welcome to today's Indie Artist Music Hustle with Blonde Intelligence. I'm your host, Miss Ronnie, where I always seek to give you exquisite cranial repertoire. Last week, I touched a little bit on the controversy with TikTok and Universal Music. And then this week, legislators want to ban TikTok in the United States. They want the company to sell TikTok. And I'm thinking basically because it's owned by China. They were saying that they didn't have a way to potentially, that the information gathered could potentially be shared with the Chinese government. So the House says that it's not a censorship, but I will say that I have had issues with Facebook and Instagram, and to me, this is not making sense that they are saying that American information may not be protected when we get cyber attacks all the time. And especially with Facebook, anybody, and I know everybody, should have had a friend request from someone that they actually knew, and it was someone who had hacked their account. And Facebook is good about disabling your account based on bullshit that somebody done reported without doing any investigation or anything. And they will disable your account, or you'll lose your account altogether. You're never able to talk to anybody from customer service. And then people can just recreate your things. I had a page. They said that I impersonated someone else. I have been on Facebook for, it was like 7 or 8 years. How could I impersonate someone else? I am who I am. So they wanted me to send in IDs and all of that, did all of that, and they disabled my page. Disabled my page with your banking information, with all of that kind of stuff. You have to actually go and change your information to keep them from having access to it, because they won't give you access to your account. So just in my mind, I'm just thinking maybe you need to worry more about Facebook and Instagram and the companies that's here in the United States, because to me, they're not doing a very good job with protecting American people data. So what's good for the goose should be good for the gander. And if it's good for the goose, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. Then accountability is wanted for TikTok, but not for Facebook. TikTok is good for musical artists. And that's the reason why this is such a shame, because in a world where otherwise a independent music artist might not be able to break through the traditional methods, TikTok allows that. And I'm just not for sure if it's trying to keep gatekeepers or what. But to me, as I said last week, something is not clean in the milk. It needs to be some more information and straightforward reasons of why lawmakers of all the things that are going on in the world is making it a point to pinpoint TikTok. Like I said, when there's so many other things that's going on, and if you wanted to do something about social media, I think you should start at home and start with Facebook. But I do feel like of all the platforms, that TikTok is one of the best for musical artists. Business Insider has a breakdown of recent coverage of TikTok's impact on the music industry. TikTok has a global team that works with artists and labels. TikTok negotiates licensing deals with the right owners. TikTok innovates ways to convert cultural influence into revenue. TikTok partnered with Billboard to rank its most popular song on its media site, and also rolled out TikTok music in 5 countries. Business Insider says TikTok music ambition may ruffle the feathers at the record labels, and in the end, end up pissing off business partners. In this article, one performer says that it could be really stressful to be expected to balance social promotion with touring and writing and recording new music. So this made TikTok a goal, which is to build products for artists to make it easier for them to promote work on the app. Songs that have trended on TikTok often end up charting on Billboard 100 or Spotify Viral 50. TikTok has become the hub for labels to promote both new releases and back catalog tracks. And a new cohort of social media music marketers has sprung up to promote promotional efforts on TikTok. And I did talk about that in another blog about all the subgenres that's being created, how people are creating music to tailor to TikTok. So they'll have like an original and then they'll have a sped up version to go on TikTok because those seem to do well with breaking out new music and everything. Song promo deals between music marketers and influencers has become an important source of income for creators. So I know I talked more about music podcasts in a previous show, and one of the major hitters in promoting was TikTok. And I even myself can see on TikTok, because I had a TikTok, but I never like really used it. And then people was like, yeah, I learned how to cook this and I learned about this. And I was like, okay, so it's like a little bit to me more free than YouTube, because YouTube has started to censor and people have been creating, I guess, different ways to say things in code. I think that is ridiculous if we have freedom of speech, long as it's not hate speech and it's the truth and can be verified by facts. I don't think that people should be censored in that way. But as part of music, labels track performance on TikTok on a daily basis. And one for Sony, they focus on their older catalogs, and among other signals like the reach and the different performance and the analytics and everything. But that is the reason why you might see a resurgence of older music, depending on how it is performing on TikTok. So the question is, why try to ban TikTok when it's clearly important to the music industry? People have wrote articles and made blogs and done interviews and talked about how the landscape of music has changed, and some people would even say that it's trash and that the gatekeepers are trying to hold on and all of that. And it's just, to me, kind of strange that of all the social media platforms that this one is being targeted, when the music industry, especially for independent artists, has been stifled, and TikTok has made it possible for them to break through those barriers. And then the semi-fallout with Universal Music, and then the partnership with Billboard. It's just, how can you ban that in the United States when so many people and demand that they sell it? How about you can come to a compromise? Well, tell us how you will use this data. How can you ensure that it would not get into the wrong hands? Really, you can't, because you're not holding Facebook accountable to that. I think that it's more that can be said about the advantages of TikTok on the music industry than the perceived pitfalls. But I'm just thinking about one of my favorite songs, and I used to watch Arsenio Hall. It's just one of those things that make you go, Anyway, share your thoughts. You can find Indie Artist Music Hustle with Blonde Intelligence streaming on all social media platforms. And you can find the podcast on all podcasting platforms. You can get your merch and your musical services at www.blonde-intelligence.com. I will see you next week. Bye.
Hey girl, let me tell you about this podcast.
Girl, everybody has a podcast these days.
But this one interviews new and interesting indie artists. It's called Indie Artist Music Hustle with Blonde Intelligence.
Really? Where can I find it?
It's on all podcasting platforms, streams live on social media, and on rpentradio.com.
What'd you say it was called again?
It's called Indie Artist Music Hustle with Blonde Intelligence.
Girl, I'm gonna have to check her out.
Give it a check, girl.